everybody. Welcome to the Teachings of Joseph. I'm Cindy, as you know. So today, I can't tell you how I've been looking forward to this podcast. This is so important. This topic of what we refer to as past life regression. Joseph introduces us to an expanded understanding of that. And today, I am thrilled to death to have Steve Toohill with us, who is over in the UK, and that's so exciting. There's a lot we could talk about there, but we won't. But anyway, I can't tell you how grateful we are that you agreed to join us. I know you're so busy and discuss this topic. So welcome, welcome. Yay, Stephen.
Claire, how are you doing? Nice to meet you.
Wonderful, wonderful. You too. Thanks for responding to my Instagram message. There was something I read, and I read all your stuff. It's fascinating to me. Anyway, I don't want to get off track because I want you to tell people who you are first. I'm sure a lot of them know you, but please.
Yeah, so I guess technically I'm a hypnotherapist based in Scotland in the UK. I and this, I basically specialise in the spiritual aspect of it. So I do work a lot with people that suffer from regular things like anxieties or fears and phobias, etc. But I specialise in past life regression and a thing called between lives, which is really what happens when you reach the death point of any life, where you try and I guess it's the spiritual aspect of everything. It's our true home, maybe is what we would maybe call it. And it's all about understanding maybe past lives, why we were living these particular past lives, the lessons that we were there to learn, how they affected us in this current life, and then again it can be you can use these same type of this same process to help people to understand things about purpose in this life, understanding concepts or understanding things that are happening. I guess it's spiritual wisdom. It's about connecting to our guides and our higher elements of beings. So yeah,
I
so
love
that's
that.
that's that's technically what I do. That's roughly the actual maybe how I would frame what I do.
It's so cool. So you're on the spiritual side of this thing, obviously.
Yeah.
And that makes so much sense to me. I did one past life regression by a really cool teacher of mine that I had many, many years ago. It was an introduction, really. It was part of the introduction to all of this for me.
Mm.
And he suggested it. I had no idea what it was. I had no idea what it meant, but I'm game for anything. So
Yeah.
he took me back, and I'll tell you, it was the most moving experience, and it has stayed with me for,
Mm.
I mean, we're talking, it was probably 15, 17 years ago, and I
Yeah.
remember every second of it every time I think about it, and it changed my understanding of who I really am,
Mm.
which is why now I know why Joseph moved me in that direction, so I could understand that. So let me tell you that or what our perspective as the blending of Joseph begins here,
Yeah.
our perspective and the expanded version of this whole, I'm going to call it modality because I am, the words that go around, I don't know them. So I'm going to call it that for our purposes. And so we teach, and you know this already, that there is only now, right? So all
Mm.
these, everything's
Yeah.
happening now. So the words past life regression from our perspective mean happening now. We mean other lives, other vibrations of our current human aspect makeup.
Mm.
Is that how you see? I mean, can you expand on that a little bit from your perspective?
Yeah. That's another sort of way of looking at it. I guess from our human perspective or our earthly perspective, I guess we understand things in timelines. So we see things from the past, we see things in the future. We don't always. I guess everything's the makeup of this universe is all cycles. It's all about um, the rotation of the sun around the rotation of the earth around the sun. So we morning and night. So we are sort of used to these almost time periods, and I guess past life regression has probably got its name because we would see, I guess, who we are now as as the current aspect of us. Where if we look at past lives, and usually they are in past times, times that we would see as in our timeline, the way that the time construct exists, um, we would recognize them from our perspective as past lives. But as you said, there is no real time construct in a spiritual plane. It's purely an earthly or a physical universe concept. So I would agree with you that there is only now, and our soul is expanding. It's about the growth of the soul, and I guess all of these past lives or current lives are all happening at the same time. It's just one, like you said, there is only now. So I would agree with that. It's a hard concept for a lot of people to get their head around because we're so ingrained in this sort of timeline or this time construct that we exist in. But yeah, I would agree that I've came across, and that's one of my understandings is that there is no time in a spiritual reality.
Yeah, because part of the moving, Joseph is the vibration of the new earth, of the new consciousness, of the shift that we're going through. And so, but this consciousness, uh, which I'll say contains not only the new earth, but the new human aspect who will live as a physical form of some kind that will be a manifestation of that vibration, right? In its physical form without denseness, without fear. So part of that teaching, of course, then is the oneness of us. A lot of people say that's the Ra's law of one. I know what that is. I'm not that familiar with Ra, but I hear that a lot. And yes, that's how we see it. So part of our teaching is the teaching of the timelines and how they play a role in the vibration that we currently are as the human aspect. So this is fascinating. So in our book 2, the Allow Your Soul to Lead, you see them behind me. This is Joseph's introduction to us. And we talk about the aspects and we talk about timelines. And in the second book, they took me to another timeline to actually what I called then heal something. Now I know is the expansion of that aspect of me, right? That aspect that's living on that timeline as a vibration, which
Yeah.
exists in me. Yeah, it's a huge, it's very, can sound very circular. So what you do, all of that to say that what you do is, from our perspective, you coach people kind of, and you can expand on that if you would, what your process is, onto other timelines to experience something, to heal something, or to shift something.
Mm.
Yay or nay?
Yeah, pretty much. I guess coaching would be a reasonable way to look at it. Technically, what I see myself as a facilitator. So I'm
Yeah.
not there to direct anybody. I'm a big truster, and I trust in the mind. I trust in people's minds, and I believe that their mind knows exactly what they need to understand, what they need to experience. They may come with things that they're maybe holding on to, or it can be traumas, it can be fears that may be a result of, as you say, these other timelines or these other experiences that are affecting them now. So what I do is I use hypnosis, and I don't see hypnosis. Hypnosis has got quite a label around about it. It's seen as, I think it's always attributed towards maybe some of these older stage type stuff where you see pictures of someone with some kind of power coming out their fingers, and they're
Yeah.
controlling someone's mind to do something, and it's
Yeah.
quite the opposite. Actually, the way that I see hypnosis is that it's simply a way of allowing someone's mind um, to experience the more of the unconscious element of who we are. Um, a good there's a good way, quite a fascinating way actually to look at this, and it's that when you're a child, you go through these stages of cognitive development. So from the ages of 0 to 2, I think, or 0 to 1, is really the more the sort of the motor responses that you start to learn. So you start to develop speech, you start to develop your movement. But between the ages of 2 to 7, there's a Swiss, now I can never remember if he's a psychologist or psychiatrist, but his name was Piaget, and he studied the way that the mind develops from a young age, well, through life really, just the development of the cognitive mind. And from 2 to 7 is where it goes through this pre-operational stage, we call it. So at that age, your mind is wide open. Your mind as a child is very. You may. Everyone's got. A lot of people have got experiences of children that say that they see uh, imaginary friends or ghosts or
Yeah.
past relatives, or even there is a lot of stuff about past life recall from children. And through that period between 2 and 7, this is the stage where the critical mind starts to develop. So what I see hypnosis is it's almost about taking that constructed cognitive part of our mind that has sort of created a reality, and what you're doing is you're trying to sort of suspend the belief of that, or to try and bypass it in some way so that you can access the conscious, unconscious elements. People call it subconscious, some people call it unconscious. Whether there's any right way or wrong way, but and what I see is that is us tapping in then to that bigger element of our conscious mind. And when people channel, or whether it's people or mediums that are bringing messages through from guides, or that's what I see it as you say, it's like a kind of mind coaching. You're trying to get that part of the mind out of the way so that you can access that bigger picture.
Yeah.
And that's what I see hypnosis is. It's because everything that we've learned through our lives, all the things we've picked up, whether it's bad patterns, bad habits, fears and phobias, these are all within that element of the mind.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that's why hypnosis is so powerful in helping people to move through a lot of these types of things. You can break patterns, um, you can change patterns for improve them, or negotiate with the parts of you that create these patterns to change. But for me, specializing in things like past life and between lives, it's also a much open part of the mind that is aware of the bigger picture, so it can connect to the
Yeah.
that spiritual element of these other beings, or being able to access more knowledge of who we are. So that I think that's probably my kind of concept of what I do with the hypnosis.
God,
Um,
it's so beautiful. As I'm, sitting here nodding and nodding and nodding yeah, and I'm translating what you said into Joseph speak.
mhm,
And it's so I mean, it's just there. It's so cool, which is why this is so fascinating to me, because when they took me back into meditation, I want to say over to this other timeline, it was so cool because I remember when we first started walking, it was Archangel Michael they sent for me, and
yeah,
it was and that is used so frequently, and I want to stop for a second and give everybody our perspective of the angel coming with me. In our perspective, the consciousness and vibration of Archangel Michael is apparent to me, as are several, vibrations and consciousnesses to all
mhm,
of us. They are guides or whatever. We're so surrounded. So when I say that, I'm talking about, I know it was his vibration that was escorting me. Anyway,
yeah,
I remember uh, specifically, I remember saying in the meditation as we're walking, I am so tired. I am so tired. And at that point, he picked me up to carry me. And I never knew what it meant till several years later. I was changing timelines. and the vibration that I currently am had to accommodate, that's my word, I don't
Mhm.
know that I've ever put it in words before,
Yeah.
had to accommodate the new vibration, which leads me to understand too that as we are moving toward this new consciousness, the more fear we release, we say move beyond, expand beyond. I know people say they're healing this. Um, I'll do another issue on healing and that. But anyway, so that's why we're focused on this too, is because all those aspects of us who are the vibrations on those other timelines in human
Mhm.
speak are stepping forward now, we say, to expand because we cannot move forward into a consciousness that doesn't have any fear with
Mm.
fear.
Mm.
There's no vibrational agreement, right? So we're in the
Yeah.
process now of moving beyond it. And what you do is assist people in that movement forward. Would you agree with that?
Yeah. And the interesting thing is that it sort of that works came to me. People seem to find me, and a lot of the time they are searching for purpose. And I'm finding there's a lot of people actually that are here now to help with this
Yes.
transition.
Yes.
And it's an absolute delight for me when I'm working with people for them to really start to realize their potential, to realize who they are, what they're here for. I've had some people that are sometimes they're healers. They're here to uh, kind of heal people's issues. Other people seem to be about holding energies and holding to be among people and just to be. This is what I love is that if I was to give one message to anybody about um, the information that I've got through a lot of the work that I do, is that it's all about being who you are. I think if you are here for that purpose, then the reason that you're here for that purpose is because of who you are, and it's all about being unique to who you are, to to be yourself. That is all you need to do. Some people think that they've got to save the world. That there's so much. How could I possibly save the world? But it's not about. It's not like that. It's about be who you are. If you be who
Yes.
you are, you will bring to this transition what is needed.
Yeah.
Um, and that's probably one of the, because I think a lot of people put a lot of pressure on themselves that they
Yeah.
think I've got something to do and I need to be doing something, and all they need to do is to be themselves.
God, that's so beautiful. So spot on. Yeah, that's what we teach too. Who you really are, live authentically.
Mm.
When you're living authentically, which we say is living, in the state of alignment as much as possible, which
Mm.
is what we would describe your process as, that mind, that whole mind thing with,
Yeah.
we picture that as moving away from the consciousness of contrast, where
Hmm.
there's fear because, you're jumping timelines when you're in alignment, when you're open to it, you know. And when you were describing the ages that certain things happen, and
Mm.
when you said between, I don't know what you said, 2 and 7, 5 and 4 and 7, whatever, that time when you're open to so many things, and it flashed in my head, this is what Jesus meant when he said, come to me as a child. Come to
Mm.
me with no judgment, with only adventure and curiosity,
Yeah.
and just love.
Mm.
And so that's so huge. So we're teaching that too, of course,
Yeah.
because that's all fear based, it's all
Mm.
fear that we have to do something. Some of my clients too are saying, I know I'm supposed to do something. Tell me what it is. I'm getting, and me, of course, I've been up and down all over this thing, stubborn and just kicking and screaming sometimes. And um, but as I go through and learn more, I realize that what you just said so beautifully, thank you for saying that, is the only thing we need to do is live as who we are. And that is really in alignment as much as possible. And then the doors just open
Mm.
because that's the space where all the purpose is. That's the space where the process is,
Yeah.
where all the love and peace and joy and abundance of everything
Mm.
is,
Yeah.
but you can't get, we live with so much fear for so many eons of time.
Yeah. Fear's the biggest thing. It's what will hold people back, and it will prevent people from finding love in themselves and finding love in other people. There's so much. I guess this is the whole reason that things are breaking down. They have to break down because we live in a world and I live in a reality that doesn't. It's not in alignment with the natural world. We
Right.
are so far removed from nature, and it's one thing that, again, through some of the sessions that I do, the things that people are reminded is that to remember that we are nature. Nature's not outside in the trees, and we are part of that. We're all part of everything. And I think in this kind of construct of reality that we are living in at the moment, we're living in a reality of it's incredibly fear-based. We've got media companies that are pumping out the negative stories, how bad the world is, how we're all threats to this disease and this and viruses, and the whole world is in an absolute state of fear. But the one thing that clients that I have keep being reminded of is that look outside, just remember nature, get out and ground and outside it. That is who you are. That is the reality of life, not this construct of fear and panic and even the way that we live. We live in jobs that we can't. Um, we're in so much stress, so much pressure. We're constantly in that state of fight or flight all the time. And when the body's in a state of stress, the body, and it's in that state of fight or flight, the body doesn't heal itself.
Right.
The body is in that. When you're in a state of fight or flight, all your muscles are tensed. Your heart will be your heartbeat will be racing faster. You're ready to fight somebody, or you're ready to run. You're ready to flee.
Right.
And when you're in that state, all your energy is into survival. So that's why people start with a lot of chronic illnesses. They start to suffer a lot of stress, and that will manifest physically on them as well. Um, Through illnesses simply because they aren't allowing their body, they're not giving the energy to their body to heal their body. And in this world that we live in, it's so fear based, it's so in this unnatural way. And it is about trying to just get out and see where the real. I done it myself earlier in the year where I think it was just before lockdown started. And I was walking outside and I was thinking, well, I suppose work-wise, if I can't see anyone coming to see me, maybe I'll just have a little bit of a holiday. And I hit my head. I was in my own head,
Yep.
and I remember looking. I lifted my head up and looked around, and I was walking in nature, and I heard the river flowing by. I heard the birds whistling in the trees, and I thought nothing has actually changed. Everything is exactly the same as it was a year ago for everything else in this world, except for us who have
Yeah.
we're in this complete state of fear. And in this construct that we're in at the moment, it is not only fear based, but it's also corrupt. It's full of hatred. It's full of greed. It's full of
Deceit,
power. Yeah, and it's
deception. Yep.
yeah, deception, and this is
Control.
why it needs to break down
Yeah.
because it's that is like you said, that's not we can't transition to anywhere where
That's
when
right.
this construct we're all
That's
living and weaved into this construct. So this construct needs to break down before we can move on. And from what I get in sessions, there will be some that won't want to leave that, but it's like it's what it said is that the energy of that will go somewhere else, but the rest will move to this other energy.
yes.
So
Yeah, that's exactly that's it. That's exactly what we're seeing, what we see and I see, and I try to. Well, I do live by. It gets me in trouble sometimes, but
mm,
yeah, I am watching what Joseph refers to as the delineation of the worlds, and it is the choosing time.
mm,
And we see it as you can see all of the manifestations that are happening now, event after event on top of each other, the manifestations of this fear
mm,
that has been looming for a long time. And now it's come to a head.
mm,
And now it has to either stop or we crumble. I believe there's too much as I watch, not only in our country, but around the world. I
mm,
have people around the world that are posting protests for freedom. And I get, it makes me sad that we have to actually fight for freedom. But what
Mm.
it comes down to is we are born free, right?
Mm.
Are in alignment, we are free.
Yeah.
So this is why we are so disturbed by it, because we are
Mm.
living, we are pushing against the dominant collective, as what you said. We are pushing against the universal laws that are not fearful. So
Mm.
I describe this as standing in front of a tsunami on the edge of a beach with your hand up, expecting to stop it. And
Yeah.
it doesn't stop. So Joseph is saying, I am covered with goosebumps right now. Joseph is saying, we need to get up on top of that wave. We're riding that wave
Mm.
forward. Those
Mm.
who buy into all the deception and the corruption and the crimes against humanity on a scale that is unfathomable to me,
Mm.
and very sad to me. But I also know how this ends. And so it is, in our, obviously always is, but now more than ever, our best interest to, Joseph's been pushing since the beginning of this year, focus on alignment, focus on alignment. We've got to stay ahead of this. I've had experience, as you have described, with Joseph. I chat with them usually every afternoon. I have a little balcony that sits on the third floor. So I'm in the top, kind of the top of the trees, and
Mm.
everything seems beneath me. This world, I can put it in that position because it's really uncomfortable for me, as it is for you and millions of us. So I said to them one day, I can't believe, as this all started to unfold, and I said, I can't believe what's happening here. It's just so beyond my comprehension that people could act like that. And that was, 2 months ago. And it just
Mm.
gets bigger and bigger and bigger. And they
Mm.
said, Cindy, yes, that is a reality that's manifesting. And you certainly don't have to choose to live within it.
Mm.
And that's a big statement. And that's a big statement for us as human aspects,
Yeah.
to get our heads around when we're living in it. They say,
Mm.
yes, you can live in it, but you don't have to choose it,
Yeah.
you know. So
Mm.
they've done some processes in creating, because we're creating our own. They always say you're creating your own reality regardless of what's going on the outside of you. So when you walk in nature, or when I walk in nature, or beyond these huge
Mm.
trees, and all we hear is natural sounds,
Yeah.
and I spotted a huge hawk the other day. I was walking, and he was sitting in a tree, but kind of close. It was huge, and it was so beautiful, and he was so peaceful. And I said,
Mm.
yeah, that's the reality we want, right? And
Yeah.
we choose our reality based on what we're focused on.
Mm.
So they said, you certainly don't have to choose to focus on that reality. You can be aware of it, but the more you
Yeah.
focus on it, the more aware of it you are, and the more it manifests in your reality.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And it's similar things that I had one client that had, they said it would be like a split where they could see control, a lot of really heavy control drones in the sky, and they said that, but there'll be people that would choose that reality because they feel that that reality, they're safe in that reality, and that is the reality that they'll move towards. But she says, but there was others that choose a different reality, and that reality, they said, it seems to try to describe how to comprehend it, but she said it was almost like an underground reality. It was, they lived in parallel, but they would stay away from that other
Yeah.
reality, and it seems to break apart. I had another. The clients that I love are clients with no understanding
Yeah.
of it.
Yeah.
So some
So
people might
real.
have came, they've read Dolores Cannon, or they've
Yeah.
read some of the sort of the Abraham Hicks stuff.
Yeah.
So you sometimes get people that come with knowledge, and when you do sessions with them, there's always at the back of your mind thinking, are they bringing some of that stuff up on their own?
Yep.
But the clients that I love are the ones that come with no understanding. I had a guy quite recently who came, and he started to explain um, the future, and he was saying that he was saying that he could see destruction. There was a lot of destruction, he says, but what he saw was two children riding bikes, and he says, but it was beautiful. He says that as much there was destruction around about it, it was a change. Something had changed, and he could see like buildings that had come down and things. But what he'd said was, so after that session, to me that fitted this whole there's so much talk about this new earth, this transition into a new earth, and how there'll be changes and vibrational changes. The body may raise its vibration. But when I spoke to him about after, I said, so have you read stuff about the new earth or this transition period? And he was just looking at me blankly, thinking, I don't know, He's an engineer. He'd nothing to do with any of this stuff, but he had described a concept that has been coming
Yeah.
from different sources, and
Yeah.
to me that gives me some, I guess, what would be the word for it? It gives me more kind of proof. I don't like the word proof, but it gives me some sort of understanding that
Confidence.
confidence as well could be a way, but it's coming from different sources,
Yep.
and it is,
Validation. Yeah.
yeah, validation is maybe a good word for it. And I've had a couple of these types of clients where they have the young guy as well, who again was being told that things would get a little bit difficult, but it was only be okay. It will be okay, and he will do very well. And this was a young guy who had that originally came for some help with, I think it was motivation and work and things. So it was more clinical type hypnotherapy. But then he said, I want to try the past life regression. That seems weird and interesting. And he started to get this stuff again. Someone who had no concept of transitions and new earths,
Yeah.
but then starts describing how things were going to change, and they were going to change for the better.
Yeah.
So it seems that I've had other clients that have said, bringing through. So what I do is I speak with, sometimes it's guides, but other times it's then ascended masters that will sit above guides. They'll
Yeah.
come and they have said that there is nothing's good and bad. Everything is experience. But they're also saying that um, there is there is no mistakes, and there's nothing happening by accident. They're saying that everything is perfect in the way that it's playing out, and it seems that what we are going through is something that needs to happen. It's a breakdown of a structure that doesn't serve mankind and hasn't served mankind for hundreds and hundreds of years.
That's right.
We've lived in it, but it's continually, I think, uh, went in the wrong direction for who we should be and what we should be doing.
Yeah.
It's never been wrong, because it's, you learn from even the worst experiences. You can grow from them. You can learn. You can make better choices. You can make sure these don't happen again. There's always growth and expansion from adversity, but I think it's about now how we move forward in a more positive way.
The more you talk, the more I know why Joseph prompted me to contact you, because you're teaching exactly, or you're hearing and teaching exactly what we are teaching, which is we have to get away from that, the contrasting construct of good and bad and,
Mm.
you know, mistakes.
Yeah.
We are, and well, I'll get into that later, but a lot of our teaching is moving from the understanding of the old paradigm teachings, or a big one that we're on. Well, they're all big. They're saying they're all big. Is they start out with the whole concept of the ego,
Yeah.
and people don't want to let go of this ego that supposedly attacks them and and just wants everything bad for them. But
Mm.
what we're trying to say is that, well, what we teach is that the ego is an aspect of the soul, which is an assistant to the human aspect in the contrast of in the realm of contrast. And
Yeah.
it allows us, because the soul will not give us negative emotion. It doesn't have any fear, so it cannot manifest that
Mm.
an art for. So we have this assistant called the ego, who's an aspect of love, who comes here and gives us the matching emotion to the thoughts that we are choosing that are out
Mm.
of alignment. If we feel bad, we're out of alignment. And the ego says, this is how it's going to feel if you continue down that path.
Mm-hmm.
Dump those, get back in alignment, get back in alignment. And
Yeah.
as soon everybody that we have taught that to comes back and says, what a relief that is.
Mm-hmm.
People think they're going to drag their ego to the new earth. They cannot, because that whole teaching is fear-based
Yeah.
and it manifests fearfully in us.
Mm.
Another thing that's taught that's outside of us, that has some kind of control over us,
Mm.
is the ego. And people want to drag it around. Poor ego.
Mm.
It's awful.
Yeah. And also, I think it's quite useful to also I'll tell it in a way that to remember that the physical construct is nothing more than a construct. It's a playground for learning, and we are children in this playground, and we're making mistakes all the time. But through every mistake, well, I don't like the word mistake. I think mistake
I
implies
understand where you're
something.
going. Yeah.
It's basically it's an opportunity to learn and to overcome. But um, if you look at the way that, I mean, if you even look at our earthly construct, this universe that we live in, it doesn't actually, from a scientific point of view, it doesn't exist in a way that we think it exists. So if you were to look at it from a lot of people like quantum physics and looking at it from that perspective, and even from the basics of quantum physics, when you look at what our reality is, you if you go right down into an atom, so everything that is physical in this, everything that is matter in this universe is made of atoms. When you look at an atom is actually it's basically a negative charged electron spinning around the atom. Inside the atom is a particle. So the particle, everything round about the particle is space. So it's actually 99.9999999999996% of space. So everything that is matter is basically starts off as 99.99999 of space. The particle in the center is a proton and a neutron. Okay, so is the proton and the neutron then what makes physical matter? When you look inside them, there's then things called quarks, which are events. They're not anything. They're not. They don't have size. They don't have mass. They don't have weight. They are basically a little event that appears, a little energetic event will appear, disappear, appear,
The
disappear.
vibration, right? Yeah.
It can
It's
be
a
in different places.
manifestation of vibration.
Yeah, and all it is it's then telling us that this whole physical reality that we live in, if you go right down to the quarks, the very bottom things that were, it's energy. Everything is energy, and um, the only thing that really actually makes physical is the revert the it's all the negative charged electrons and all the atoms here and all here, and they're repelling each other. It's the simple physics
Yep.
of high school, but they're repelling each other. And if you looked at the space between these two, they're not touching. They never touch. It's actually a magnetic repulsion, and that's what physical is. So
Magnet.
it's
Yeah.
starting to build this picture that our physical reality is actually an energetic construct. And the way that I like to look at it, and from the perspective of I guess the understanding of what we experience after these past lives that we go to, this between life place. The concept is that we come down, even saying we come down, I don't even think we come down from anywhere, but we experience is probably a better word, this within this construct, in a role or a character like a play. I could be, my mother could have been my father in the past life,
Right.
or my
Exactly.
brother
Yes.
was my
Because you're
daughter.
just vibration. Yeah.
Yeah, and it's the souls taking different roles to play out scenarios to help us to grow. So everything that we experience in this life is the lessons. This is the dramas, is the things that will create the emotions that allow us to maybe test ourselves and how we react, how we are with other people, how we help other people, um, and it's all a school of learning. And again, like from that aspect of spiritual, they would laugh because we get so caught up in it. We think that
Yeah.
this is the reality and that we are, and the way I like to think about it is it's a bit like a computer game. And everyone probably remembers the game Super Mario. It's a bit
Oh,
like
I loved it. Yeah.
so it's a bit like starting Super Mario, and there's your little character, there's your little avatar that's bobbing along, and he comes to a ghost, and he reaches the ghost, he bangs into the ghost, and he dies. So to imagine that if this is the game and this is the construct, we don't go into devastation because our little character died. We go back and start again. But we come to the ghost and we think, okay, I died the last time, but if I jump over him, oh, I've passed that part, up to the next level, there's another ghost, oh, there we go again. And I don't know if most people that have played games have probably played a game and every now and again we complete a game. Um, when you complete that game, you're the master of that game. You know every challenge that came through that game,
Yep.
and you've become an
Yep.
expert. And to me, that's a guide. A guide is someone who's went through all of the
Yep.
challenges and the learnings, and are now helping us or others that are here move through this game, this reality. So when we look at it from a perspective of an energetic construct, it doesn't really exist in a physical way that we think it does. When we understand that concept, that it is just a school of learning, then this is what we're here to. It's all about the growth of the soul and the expansion of who we are and the expansion of everything. And I think at the moment, Earth is a unique experience, and it's supposed to be an experience of fast growth. But I think that it is changing. There is a change. Um, and it can go. There's so many ways you can go. I know that you're talking about timelines, and you can start to go into multiverses and how that every experience, that
It's so
every choice,
big.
yeah, it is. It's
So
incredible.
I'm sorry, go ahead.
That's all I was going to say was that it is there's the whole idea of when we make a decision on something, there is two
That's right.
realities that split off, and that can there is people that do work in that way where they are able to jump timelines to other timelines to
Yep.
gain the experiences that they missed out and bringing it back to this timeline. And so I think from what all I understand is that when we are shown the spiritual experiences, we're shown it in a way that we can understand, and it will generally be shown in the sort of physical, with a physical kind of concept to allow us to experience what's happening in spirit. And but I think it's much wider than that. There is much more than we don't comprehend.
There is, I think we don't know the top of a pinhead,
Yeah,
because
I
first
would
of all, we
agree.
can't fathom that as our, because we have so much limit on
Yeah.
ourselves. But yeah, we call all of that scientific stuff that I barely pass science,
Mm.
so I am not a
Neither
science,
did I. I was
but
struggled myself, but
yeah. But I look at everything from a vibrational perspective,
mm,
So
yeah,
we say what you described, we would say, yes, it's all about the expansion of the soul, the umbrella soul and our individual souls, which
yeah,
includes all of the aspects of everything, the aspects of us and their aspects. And it just goes on and on and on because it's
yeah,
limitless. Everything is limitless.
mm,
So we say that there are no mistakes. Of course, there are only experiences that offer choice,
yeah,
experience that offer those two pathways that you talked about. One is from our perspective out of alignment, one's in alignment. And
mm,
whichever pathway you choose to create momentum around and focus upon, you will walk toward that manifestation. And you will keep walking toward that manifestation as long as you're on that timeline that
mm,
you are building by putting out there your desire vibrationally. So
yeah,
that's why we're constantly saying alignment, alignment. People go, alignment.
mm,
Well, there, as far as we're concerned, everything we teach, every little piece of it is all about moving yourself into alignment. And
mm,
the moving forward, I wrote down so many things here while you were talking. The moving forward, oh, of all of our aspects means that in this lifetime, Joseph has referred to us as the captains of our other physical aspects, because they're not
mhm,
physical right now. They're non-physical vibrations that are part of us
yeah,
because we carry it all, right?
mm,
So we're either weighed down by by our physical vibration or we're lightening up, and that's our mission here is to help everybody lighten up so we can move to other timelines. And that timeline that's in front of us right now is the timeline of the new earth. But we
mm,
have to move beyond the fearful realm where fear is a choice, because it's not
yeah,
a choice there. Choice is it would be ridiculous. So, yeah, so all of that to say that when I had my past life experience, and this goes back to when you were describing your process, when I had mine, after it was over, and what happened in a nutshell was that I went to a place that, or timeline that was, the aspect that was living on that timeline vibrationally had not expanded beyond that experience that it had, didn't know how to get out of it, in my words. So
mm,
we went back and changed the ending. We participated in that timeline to offer an expanded version of the ending that had happened to that aspect. And we
Yes.
shifted it from an out of alignment experience to an in alignment experience. And what he said to me after I watched this beautiful shift, it was amazing. Um, what they said to me was, now everybody that participated in that experience, everybody, even those that weren't visible to me,
Yeah.
his mother, her mother, it
Mm.
goes back because it affects the entire vibrational timeline that was that was manifested in that way, in
Yeah.
essence. So they
Mm.
said, yeah. So this happened to be an experience with my father. And they said,
Mm.
so now not only are you, your individual vibration, not only is that expanded, it is for every other version that came before you
Yeah.
and your father and all of his and whoever affected him. So it's like the ripple. Some
Mm.
people have said it when you throw the stone in the middle of the peaceful lake,
Yeah.
it just keeps it's so amazing that way, that
Mm.
the vibration is what is expanded. We don't say it's healed, because if there's never anything wrong, then there's nothing out of whack.
Yeah.
There's nothing to heal. We just need to expand, you
Yeah.
know just need to expand.
And also to let go of anything that we are carrying. So if we are holding energies that no longer serve us, like we
Yeah.
say, everything's an experience and everything's a lesson. But sometimes the lessons learned, but we may still carry the effects, and it's about releasing. And that's one of the things I would do, is either working with a higher self or working with the guides and helping some people to let that go, to heal these things in that same way that you were
Yeah.
describing.
So important. It's
Mm.
so important. There's it's such a good way to do it too. In fact, I want to book something with you. I want to talk about doing this when we hang up here with this.
Yeah.
I want to talk about this, and maybe, I mean, I'll be the guinea pig, and maybe, people like to see this stuff. So maybe we can do a live
Hmm.
regression on me.
Yeah. Yeah.
That may be kind of cool. Let me
Sounds
see if I
good.
can.
Yeah.
Yeah, that would be cool. So we can, because it's so important to understand. Joseph says that experience brings understanding, and understanding brings expansion.
Mm.
So every experience we have, we call an event. Every experience is an event, because every experience offers a choice. If you experience something, you can step away and say, well, why did I experience that? Where am I must be out of alignment. Or you
Mm.
know I was sideways a couple weeks ago with the energies and the moons and stuff. Really affects me, and I finally got past this, but it took years. But so I was all mad, and I said to Joseph, this doesn't feel much like a process. And they said, well, of course it doesn't feel like a process, Cindy, because you're out of alignment, and the process is in alignment. And I
Yeah.
went, oh yeah, yeah,
Mm.
I get that. And that shifted me. So,
Yeah.
it's a really an expansion of our awareness of who
Mm.
we really are, I think. And
Yeah.
it's just so huge. And man, and yeah, now is the time. Now is
Mm.
the time to choose. They say we're not
Yeah.
dilly-dallying anymore, you
Yeah. And I
know.
think that whole alignment thing as well is one of the, again, it's another very common thing, and it's always, people are told that they're being guided. They're never alone, and they're always being helped.
Yeah.
We don't maybe always are aware of it, but and I think that alignment is that the only reason that we probably come out of alignment is because we either resist the challenge, or we go against the way that we're maybe supposed to be going. So, and
Yeah.
usually when we do that, we make things harder for ourselves, because we
Yeah.
are resisting the opportunities. We're resisting our growth basically by
Yeah.
avoiding the lessons. But I think the alignment is always there. If we can, it's hard for some people because some people will get distracted, they will get lost in their paths.
Yeah.
Sometimes that's the people that come to me as well, to try and find their path, to try and get
Yeah.
back onto what it is that they're trying to do. Um, but I find that if I look at my own life, the best thing that I've ever done is I've kind of went with the flow. Anything that has been coming, I've sort of just accepted and went along with it.
Yeah.
And there's a few times it's been pretty tough challenges. I've asked for help, and I've had thoughts that come in, that strange thoughts, but thoughts that are actually answers to help me to get through that
Yeah.
situation. And yeah, I think that's all what the alignment is. It's about
Yes.
Being follow your
Connected.
intuition and the
Yeah.
knowing.
Yeah. That's why, that's why Joseph, why they call their books "Allow Your Soul to Lead." They're saying you as a human collective have never been at this place, at the precipice of this vibration,
Mm,
living in the physical form without fear. We've
mm,
never done that on a physical earth, so this whole thing,
yeah.
we're creating the whole thing. But they said, so yes, there is fear of the unknown vibration. So that's
Hmm.
why we're trying to assist in people understanding more of who they are through their
Yeah.
higher self, their soul. We call it the soul, the inner being, whatever that
Hmm.
is. Jesus called it the kingdom within you. How beautiful is that?
Yeah.
But that higher consciousness, that is the expanded version of us who can walk us through. They say when you allow us to guide you, we'll walk you around the bumps and the barriers,
Yeah.
and the rivers that separate you from us. We'll walk you around those things. But so
Yeah.
we have to, but you can't be in alignment and be in fear at the same time either. So this is
Mm,
something that can shift moment by moment, but being
yeah.
aware of it is the first key. We think, we have to shift our perspective so we can see things differently. And that opens up so many new doors. But this
Yeah.
is what we're doing now, which is why I'm really wanted to have you on. I'm so grateful that you came. um, Tell people, in fact, do you want to close it up, and then is there anything else you want to tell people about this process, and then I want you to tell them how they can find you. And
Yeah.
well, let me ask you this, let me ask you this too, sorry cut you off. um, it, I'm assuming this is something you do over Zoom.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Zoom, Skype. Yeah, you can do it. I mean, I think that's one of the questions people ask about is how can you do hypnosis over Zoom? But all I would say to them is that, I mean, this is my office here. You come and sit in my chair for
Yeah.
95% of the time with your eyes closed and as I speak to you. Or you can sit in the comfort of your own home
Yeah.
over Zoom with your eyes shut for 95% of the time that I'm. So it
Yeah.
makes no real difference. I find that, yes, I work with people all over the place. I've worked with people from um, Australia to Europe, South Africa, Colombia. It's actually something in Colombia
Wow.
working. So I work with people all over, and I'm generally finding that things even like Wi-Fi, that could be the challenge, but generally most Wi-Fi is pretty decent now for video
Yeah.
calls. So in terms of doing it online, it's the only things you need is Wi-Fi for video call and a place where you wouldn't be disturbed for the duration of the session. And I'm finding that even clinical hypnotherapy, that a lot of therapists are now moving online simply by the way
Yeah.
that things have been going with all these lockdowns.
Yeah.
Um, a lot of work is moving online, so it's people are adapting like we always do, and it works
Yeah.
just as well.
Yeah, I want to throw in too that a lot of people have asked me, well, how can somebody do a psychic reading or a tarot card reading, or,
Mm.
even Reiki over and I say, because it has nothing to do with the physical.
Yeah,
It's
that's
all
exactly it.
vibrational.
Distance doesn't exist in a spiritual realm.
No.
It's again,
Yeah,
it's our earthly constructs that we limit ourselves. I
that's
guess
right.
there's people who do Reiki that can do distance healing, and so that all
Yeah.
in my mind that the distance we're connecting to higher elements of us or the deeper aspects maybe, and I mean, if I'm doing it with words to speak to somebody to ask them to do that, well, that is all the work, all the experience, everything is within the person that is doing the
Yeah.
session. I'm a facilitator, so all I'm doing is helping them to reach that experience. And
Yeah.
even through those experiences, I find some people actually are then able to connect better with if they wanted to go down the road of channeling or if they wanted to go down
Mm.
the road of healing, it seems to open them up more to these energies that are there. And it's almost like it trains the mind. Just in the way I think people that channel, they've actually trained their mind to get to that state where they're able to make that
Yeah.
communication.
Yeah. Just
And
practice,
yeah,
right? Just
that's it.
practice.
And it's like at the start when I said hypnosis, I don't believe the word hypnosis is a bit of a I think I heard one hypnotherapist once say, if you ask 100 hypnotherapists what is hypnosis, they would give you 100 different
Different answers.
answers.
Yeah.
And generally, all it is working with the mind. That's all you're doing. You're working with the mind to help it to experience things that lie.
Yeah.
And I can say unconsciously, but people might not understand that. This is a good. This is worth actually saying. If you think about the way that we perceive, so if I was to say to you just now, become aware of the material of your top on your shoulder,
Right.
you can probably now feel that material on your shoulder.
Yeah.
Where was that feeling 2 seconds ago?
Right.
It was
It's
there,
focus. Yeah.
but you weren't consciously aware of it. And in the same way, the unconscious mind, when you're driving your car, when you don't need to think about shifting gears, you don't need to think about what pedals to press, how
Right.
many degrees to turn the steering wheel, what muscles to use. Your unconscious mind does all of that, and it's kept away. The conscious mind doesn't need to think about it,
Right. It's just
and that's
focus. Right.
yeah, and that's all it is, bringing focus to the elements that we don't
Yeah.
usually
That'll take you there.
consciously become aware of.
Yeah.
So that's pretty much what we do. We call it hypnosis, but it's getting the mind to sort of get the conscious element out of the
Yeah.
way, that critical part, and work
Yeah.
with what's down below.
Or think about something different that you don't normally think about. If you can focus on something, we've been doing these focusing experiments. I don't know what they're starting with this, but we're going to roll that out to teach people how to focus, because we don't know how. There's so much going on. There's so much,
Yeah.
there's just so much. It's something that we're gonna throw some processes out there too.
Yeah, definitely.
I'm so grateful to you for your time here. Tell people where they can find you and book an appointment if they.
Probably the best place is I'm on Instagram a lot, so
Instagram.
you can find me just Stephen with a PH, Stephen Towell, TOWILL _ hypnotherapy. I post a lot of stuff on Instagram. I'm on Facebook with the same name. You can find my website, which again is just stephentowell.com. So they're probably the sort of main sources that they'll be able to access me.
Good, 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 good. I hope, so I'll be your first customer off of this thing. Because I want to talk to you about that too when we hang up here. So stay with me if you would. And again, thank you so much for all this wonderful information and for everything that you do. So important now. So important, like all of us, all of our light workers, right? And that's who's watching this. If you're watching this, you're a teacher. That's who's being directed toward us. So anyway, thanks everybody for watching. This is great. And maybe I'll get my guts up and do a live regression with Stephen. Thank you, Stephen, so much. Find us at theteachingsofjoseph.com, and you can find our books on the website. It'll take you right to Amazon. Allow Your Soul to Lead series is the introduction of Joseph to us. They are new here. We're just getting started, and it's not on our time frame, it's on theirs. And everything is timing as we move through this end of 2020. What a year. Holy crap. Anyway, find us on Instagram too at The Teachings of Joseph, and subscribe if you would, if you like our content. I'm doing these as fast as I can. And hopefully Stephen will come back and we can talk about experiences the next time and what people share with us. So thanks everybody. Stay safe out there. Remember, stand up for who you really are. Stand up for your freedom. We are born free. We are universally free. So, all right. Love you guys. See you next time. Bye, Stephen. Thank you.
Bye-bye.